Welcome back, everybody. Derrick Soo, your East Oakland advocate. Hey, have you ever wondered what's going on with all the homeless programs? Where'd your $10 million go? And why isn't the homeless situation improving any? Well, it is improving, it's getting bigger. But sadly, uh, the money's not being spent correctly on the few dollars that Oakland does throw at the homeless issue. Uh, we had City of Oakland auditor Courtney Ruby do an audit on the homeless services, and there were a lot of shortcomings and failings left and right. And then also, I spoke directly with Courtney Ruby at one of the encampment clearings, which was Wood Street, and she found it really disturbing, and I was really feeling bad for her because what she was witnessing, she had never witnessed before, and the poor lady was in tears. And what I want to talk about today is why the city of Oakland homeless situation isn't improving. And the numbers that I got at the last hog meeting a few weeks or 2 weeks ago was this: there were 147 uh, homeless encampments a year ago. As of 2 weeks ago, Oakland reported nearly 800 encampments throughout Oakland. I mean, everywhere in Oakland. And what makes it even more difficult for stupid Mayor Shang Tao is that she said she's going to clear Oakland streets of all the homeless by 2025. Well, Libby Schaaf's been trying to do that for 8 years when she was in charge. Now we not only inherited, but Shang Tao was also responsible for a lot of the problems that we have in homeless services. Her and Nikki Fornutato Bass. Number one, we have an uptick in crime because the stupid mayor um, said defund the police. And so criminals said, oh, they're going to defund the police, they're cutting back. And then a few weeks later, the two stupid women, Nikki Fornutato Bass, city council member, president, Nikki Fornutato Bass, and also Shang Tao, were both screaming at the top of their lungs, defund the police, defund the police. And in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they were saying, oh no, we were wrong. And we need to increase the police and have more police academies. Well, Shane Town, after she's taken power, there's been a huge floodgates of Oakland police officers bailing left and right. In fact, none of the police officers that patrol here in East Oakland, I I don't recall ever seeing any of these officers twice. I see them once, and then that's it. And then we have Oakland's homeless services. She fired, she terminated Daniel Cooper January 17th. I was on the list to go into housing, and I was going to be housed at the Lake Merritt Lodge down by the shooting uh, the other day here at Madison and Lakeside Drive. I was supposed to be in that building across from where the shooting happened. And so, that's kind of disturbing. But Oakland has very limited funds, and they're not doing a very good job because, number one, they're not helping the situation any by firing the homeless administrator back at the time, and that The good news, though, is that from the pressure that we members at HOG, Homeless Advocacy Working Group, have put on the city, they have now renewed the contract for Lakeside Lodge. So that helps a lot of people trying to get off the streets. But all of Oakland's problems, or Oakland's homeless issues, uh, and the reason why there's a revolving door. The revolving door is because the rules and restrictions that they put on a lot of people. Number one, when you go into shelter or any kind of shelter, you are not allowed any friends or guests unless they already live there. So family members can't visit you in the shelter. They can't visit you at all. You have to go to them. And that's across all of their programs, not only in Oakland, but also in Alameda County. And so that's one of the problems, one of the biggest problems, because people become lonely. And then, a lot of folks say, well, you make new friends there. Well, no, you don't, because there are a lot of people that are there. Number one, you don't know from the past, so your friends aren't there. Uh, and you have to try and figure out who these people are, because in these shelters, um, they they cannot they cannot discriminate because they have a prison record. They're felons, criminals. And if they ask for shelter, they have to be given the opportunity for shelter. And the other big complaint that is a constant is that when you go into these shelters, they're supposed to get you ready to go into permanent supported housing. They are supposed to get you ready, or make sure you are ready to go into permanent supported housing. So what that means is, in the Oakland and Alameda County programs, uh, even though there may be a kitchen or a cooking facilities, like in the safe RV trailers at home base for the City of Oakland program, nobody is allowed to use the cooktops. You can use a microwave to cook or warm up food or pop popcorn, things like that. But the cooktop, the most important thing that gets you ready to go into an apartment, is denied. And so what they're doing, they are teaching and um, training you for dependency. Um, because if you don't have money to go out to buy food, which is terribly expensive outside, you have to depend on them and their crappy food programs, if they show up at all, or if the guards of the shelter haven't stolen it already, because that's a very common problem, and it came up in the audit. Same thing. Uh, these third parties that the city and county use have no accountability to you, the taxpayer, because they have written into their contract unaccountability. They don't have to show paperwork. They're the, all the homeless people that they work with is protected by California's Privacy Act, so they can't disclose name and information of the homeless. So it makes it extremely difficult to verify if these agencies are even doing what they said that they're going to do. And in fact, the audit by Courtney Ruby said that they weren't doing their jobs, and that matrices need to be put in place so that they have milestones to hit for payments, instead of just getting paid and have no proof that they're providing service. And that was across the board for all of the homeless services, third party services that work with the City of Oakland. And Alameda County is, they are better, They're getting folks into supportive housing, but not through their programs. They bring people in from the outside, from the private sector, and work with them. And then Alameda County issues rent voucher. Yeah, and these are folks that are willing to take the rent vouchers, and and sadly, there's not a lot of them because once you get locked into one of these Section 8 vouchers, it's very difficult to remove the tenant, even if they're bad, unless they're doing criminal activity. It's pretty difficult to get them out. Plus, there's the possibility that they're going to trash the place. We hope that they're not, but that's the part. One of the provisions in the sheltering system is that it prepares you for this, and then once you get into housing, uh, if you don't know how to cook already, you have a big problem because you're still dependent upon the system that just dumped you aside. And unless you know how to cook or have the means to go buy cookware and everything else to start your life, you're still stuck and you're still dependent. And that's what the city and county programs do. They teach and educate dependency. And we have to get away from that because we see that it doesn't work, because people aren't going to stay in those programs because they don't work. I've been through several of the programs, and then I got royally screwed at the end of the year because Mayor Libby Schaff was leaving, and then Shane Tao was taking over. So as Shane Tao took over, she fired the person who would have signed my paperwork to go into Lakeside, or yeah, the Lakeside Lodge, and that would have gotten me off the street. I was only asking for 1 year on that because right now I'm actually in the throes of a new project, and it's coming along. It's going to be about a year before we actually open the doors and and start doing business, but it's going to take some time. We have a lot of permitting processes that we have to do, and permits that have to be pulled, and then inspections that have to be done. In fact, we have inspections this week and going over our architectural plans for the inside, and they're going to verify the space on the inside and ventilation and everything else. And so there's a lot to this, and these are reasons why businesses don't come to Oakland, because of all the bullshit that they have to go through and all the hoops that have to go through, and then all the fees that you have to pay just to open the doors. By the time we open the doors, we're probably going to be at least $750,000 in debt, or not in debt, but out of pocket at the time. And so that puts a hurt on a business, knowing that a year from now we would have spent nearly $750,000, and at that point not yet made 1 cent. But yet the city and county and the state are collecting big dollars from your pocket, and you haven't opened the doors. And then then you still have to have the operation permits from the city and county and the state. So it's a long process. But one of the things that, like I said, in the homeless sector, the reason why you have such high failure rates with the sheltering systems, number one, you can't have friends or family visit or anything. Plus, you're possibly crammed in a room with a person you don't even know or you don't get along with. And we saw a lot of that over 2 years ago at the new Second Avenue uh, shelter, which put two camps on the same property and they didn't get along. And so that caused a lot of problems. But also, there was no cooking there. And so, again, cooking is a step towards independence. And without verifying that folks know how to use a stove and how to cook properly without setting fire to a place, is important. And these are the programs that are set up, set people up for failure right away. They're not set up for success, because if they were set up for success, we wouldn't be seeing such a drastic increase in the homeless numbers, going from 147 to just short of 800 in a year. That's horrible. That means that a lot of people have lost their homes, and these are not just individuals. These are families, moms, dads with children on the street. And I'm constantly getting calls and emails to put families, certain people, in the contact with the private sector, that I'm connected with, that actually gets people into housing, permanent supported housing. And if you have children, even better, because it works even faster. But the city of Oakland doesn't have any program like that. They just teach dependency, and they want to keep you dependent, because that's how certain people are making their money. Third-party agencies. I'm not going to mention any right now, but Mike Lee and I fought against one of the biggest ones in the Bay Area here, and they finally got dropped by the city of Oakland and Alameda County. So both don't work with this agency anymore, and that was a good thing that they stopped and that they lost money and they lost donor money. But they have come back and they put together a private NGO, non-government organization, and they get people into housing. Not the best kind of housing, but they own the property. And these are group homes that are run by self-government. So the house runs the house, not the agency running the house. The agency comes and gives them legal advice on how to continue to run that group home as a group. And for the 2 years that I've been watching this program, and I have people in I have people in the program, so I know it works, and they're happy. And so this, I'm surprised that no news agency has picked up on this yet. And I do congratulate them, because Mike Lee and I put a tremendous amount of bad press on this NGO a number of years ago. We had them all blasted all over the news and the media. They made really, really bad choices, and we pressured them to even finally give an interview, which made them even look worse. And so they changed their operation, and they're doing well. They're not the only ones that I'm keeping an eye on. I still haven't recommended anybody into the program yet, but they are on that list now. And so they made a lot of changes, and these are the kind of changes that actually help people, that people want to stay with, because number one, they can have friends and family. Number two, they can cook. So everybody shares the cooking duties in these group homes at this NGO, and they have several of them set up here in Oakland, and I have people in 3 of those programs around Oakland. So, like I said, I'm still keeping an eye on that. But Oakland needs to do much better. They need to actually build housing and stop worrying about these stupid shelters. like that 100-bed shelter down on Wood Street, which is a complete failure right now. I mean, all we're hearing is complaints after complaints after complaints at the hog meetings um, with the city, and it's not good. And boss, you're not doing the job. Uh, I've never liked that agency, boss. We don't get along. Another one that I don't get along with is uh, HCEB, Housing Consortium of the East Bay. They're another crooked organization that bullies a lot of people. In fact, they're in charge of a lot of the programs here in Oakland, and the sheltering that was offered to me on many occasions, uh, unfortunately, came under their watch, their supervision, HCEB. And Darren Lowndes, who's the executive director there, uh, he's a horrible person. I've tried to talk with him, and he just is a miserable person. He actually embarrassed himself. I tried to get him some good press for HCEB and Darren Lowndes, and they blew that opportunity. In fact, the interviewer and the video crew that came out to them said that that was one of the worst experiences that they had from an NGO and somebody who's trying to do good. And um, they said they would never come back, even if he apologized and invited them back. They would not come back to do an interview, even though they had some good things going at the time. Now they just have gone into the toilet completely, and that's why I won't go into their program. So Oakland, you need to allow folks the cooking facilities. That's how they're going to save money. That's how they're going to build self-sufficiency, is by being able to cook food for themselves. You see me all the time. When I lived out on the street, I had incredible cooking facilities. I had a 3-burner propane grill. I had microwave. I had an air fryer. Everything that, and it was running off solar. And when I was offered housing, the first question I asked, can I cook over there? And the answer is always no. And so I said, no, I can't take that offer, because I have to be able to cook for myself. I cannot depend on, in my medical condition, I cannot allow somebody else to cook for me, because I have a very precise diet that has to be adhered to. Plus, I have a large dog, 110-pound American bulldog. So there are very few places that are going to allow me to take that size of a dog. And I cook for her because it's easier for me to cook for her and myself than for me to cook just for me. And it's actually cheaper for me to cook for 2 rather than cooking for 1, because it's so much easier and the portions are more stable. But again, Oakland, Shangtao, all you're doing is building dependency in the homeless community. With the evictions now going on here in Oakland and Alameda County, I'm afraid to see that number, the homeless numbers on the street here in Oakland, go above 1,000 in the near future. Thanks for joining me today. We'll be right back.